Imagine returning home after a long journey. You walk up the path to your house. The door is unlocked. You step inside, expecting to be greeted by your family, but instead, you are met with silence. A heavy, suffocating silence. Dinner is still set on the table. The food is rotting on the plates. Weapons, muskets and swords are leaning against the wall, untouched and gathering dust. But the people, 115 human beings, men who built these houses, women who cooked at these hearths, and children who played in these yards, have simply evaporated into thin air. There are no bodies piled up, no blood on the floor, no signs of a struggle or a battle. There is only one clue, one single cryptic word carved deeply into the rough bark of a massive tree at the edge of the village. Croatoan. What happened here? How does an entire colony vanish from the face of the earth without a trace? This is not just a story. This is the oldest and most terrifying mystery in American history. The lost colony of Roanoke. To really understand the weight of this tragedy, we must go back 3 years to 1587. This was not a military expedition. It was a settlement of families. Governor John White led this brave group of men, women, and children to the wild shores of North Carolina. They came with dreams of building a new life, a city of Raleigh in the New World. Among these hopeful souls was John White's own beloved daughter, Eleanor Dare, and shortly after their arrival, under the humid summer sun, a miracle happened. Eleanor gave birth to a healthy baby girl. She was named Virginia Dare. She was the first English child ever born on American soil. Her birth was supposed to be a symbol of their future, a sign that God was with them. But the joy was short-lived. The reality of the New World was brutal. The soil was sandy and difficult to farm. The relationship with the local Native American tribes was tense and full of mistrust. One of the colonists, George Howe, was found dead, riddled with arrows while catching crabs alone. Fear began to spread like a disease. Winter was approaching fast. The food barrels were dangerously light. The colonists were terrified. They pleaded with Governor White. They begged him to sail back to England to get reinforcements and supplies. White was torn. How could he leave his daughter? How could he leave his newborn granddaughter in this hostile land? But he had no choice. If he stayed, they would all starve. Before he boarded the ship, White gathered the leaders of the colony for a final meeting. They made a solemn pact, a secret code that would save their lives. He told them, "If you are forced to leave this place because of hunger or distress, carve the name of your destination on a visible tree or post." But he added a crucial detail. "If you are in danger, if you are being attacked or forced to flee by enemies, carve a Maltese cross above the letters." On August 27, 1587, John White stood on the deck of his ship. He watched the shoreline fade into the mist. He saw his daughter Eleanor waving goodbye, holding little Virginia tightly against her chest. He promised to return in 3 months. He didn't know it then, but he was looking at them for the last time. White's journey back to England should have been routine, but history had other plans. When he arrived in London, he found the country in a state of panic. A massive war had erupted. The Spanish Armada, the most powerful naval fleet in the world, was sailing to invade England. Queen Elizabeth ordered that every available ship, big or small, be seized for the war effort. John White's supply ships were confiscated. He was grounded. For 3 agonizing years, John White was a prisoner of circumstance. While cannons roared in the English Channel, his heart was bleeding for Roanoke. He tried everything. He begged captains. He tried to sneak out on small vessels, but was captured and robbed by French pirates. Imagine the psychological torture. Every night, for over 1,000 nights, he lay in bed, wondering, are they still alive? Do they have food? Are they cold? The guilt was eating him alive. 1590, the Spanish were defeated. White immediately secured passage on a privateer ship, the Hopewell. The journey was plagued by storms, but they finally anchored off the coast of Roanoke on August 18th. It was his granddaughter's 3rd birthday. As the small boats rowed towards the island, the sailors claimed they saw a column of smoke rising from the trees. White's heart leaped with joy. Smoke meant fire. Fire meant people. He ordered the men to fire a cannon to signal their arrival. They blew trumpets and sang English folk songs loudly, hoping the colonists would hear them and come running to the beach. But no one came. The smoke they saw was nothing but a natural brush fire caused by lightning. As they walked into the settlement, the silence was deafening. The only sound was the wind rustling through the tall grass and the creaking of old wood. The scene that awaited them was haunting. The houses were not burned down or destroyed by battle. They had been carefully dismantled. The heavy cannons were still there, but the smaller items were gone. White ran to a secret spot where he had buried his own personal chests 3 years ago. He hoped to find his journals and maps safe. Instead, he found a scene of vandalism. The chests had been dug up and smashed open. His precious books were torn from their covers, the pages rotting in the rain. His maps were scattered and ruined. It was clear that the place had been abandoned for a long time. Nature had already begun to reclaim the village. Vines were growing over the debris. And then he saw it. The message. On a prominent palisade post near the entrance of the fort, the bark had been stripped away. Carved deep into the wood were capital letters, Croatoan. White froze. He remembered the Pact. He frantically searched the wood above the word. He ran his fingers over the bark, looking for the secret symbol. The Maltese cross. There was nothing. No cross. No sign of distress. This was a revelation. It meant they hadn't fled in a panic while being slaughtered. They had moved calmly. They had packed their belongings and gone to Croatoan Island, just 50 miles south, which was the home of a friendly Native American chief named Manteo. Hope surged through John White. They were alive. They were just down the coast. He immediately ordered the captain to sail to Croatoan the next morning, but the curse of Roanoke struck one final time. That night, a dark storm gathered. A massive hurricane slammed into the coast. The anchor cables of the ships snapped like thread. 7 sailors drowned in the violent waves. The remaining crew threatened mutiny. They refused to sail any further in such treacherous waters. The captain gave White an ultimatum. We leave for England now, or we die here. White was so close. He was only 50 miles away from his family, but he was powerless. With tears in his eyes, he was forced to turn back. He left them behind again. He died alone in Ireland years later, never knowing the fate of his granddaughter. For centuries, the story ended in silence. But mysteries have a way of resurfacing. In 1937, a tourist walking through a swamp in North Carolina found a heavy quartz stone. It was covered in strange carvings. When deciphered, it appeared to be a message written by Eleanor Dare to her father. The message was chilling. It claimed that after they moved, savages attacked them. It listed the names of the dead, including the child, Virginia Dare. Was this stone real, or was it a cruel hoax created for fame? Historians have debated this for decades. Most believe it is a fake, but some linguists argue the spelling style is authentic to the 16th century. However, We don't need stones to find the truth. We have modern science. In 2012, researchers at the British Museum used advanced spectroscopy to look through the layers of John White's original watercolor map, La Virginia Pars. They noticed a small paper patch glued over a section of the map, likely used to correct a mistake. But when they looked under the patch with the light scanners, they found a secret. Hidden beneath the paper was a symbol of a large, star-shaped fort, and it wasn't on Roanoke Island. It was 50 miles inland near the Chowan River. This changes everything. It suggests the colonists had a plan B. They didn't just go to Croatoan, they likely split up. One group went to the coast and another went inland to build a permanent city. And finally, the most compelling evidence lies in the blood of the people living there today. Early explorers in the 1700s reported encountering a tribe of Native Americans who were different. They had gray eyes, they had light brown hair, they spoke a broken form of old Elizabethan English, and they claimed their ancestors were white people who could talk from books. Today, DNA testing on families in North Carolina has revealed unique European genetic markers that date back precisely to the late 16th century. The lost colony of Roanoke did not vanish into thin air. They didn't fall off the edge of the earth. They simply did what humans have always done to survive. They adapted. They merged with the people of the land. They became one with the forest. The 115 souls are not lost. They are buried in the soil, and their blood flows in the veins of Americans today. The mystery is not about how they died. It is about how they survived.